Alright guys, let's start off by cutting the tip off this 1 1/4 inch spade bit, and then we'll heat it up kind of and then beat it into a rough like gouge shape. Once we got her all bent, we're going to flatten the tip on the belt sander and also grind the bevel. Now the most important part of making this chisel is making sure that that interior curve is as perfect as you can get it, because if there's any dents or nicks in there, they're going to show up in your edge at some point, and then you won't have nice clean cuts whenever you use it. And for heat treating this blade, we're going to first get a piece of rebar nice and warm and then throw it in our oil. That'll heat up the oil so that we don't shock our chisel or our gouge too much. I don't know if that's actually needed, but I did it anyways because I saw someone else do it. And we'll quench our chisel or gouge in there. And I know it didn't look all that hot. Here's what the unhardened metal sounds like. And here's what the hardened metal sounds like. So I think we did it right. So then we'll temper the blade at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2 hours. I base this off a color. Once it turns like a golden straw color, I figure it's done. In the meantime, we'll start making the handle, and this is out of a piece of maple that I cut out this summer. We're also going to cut out a ferrule, and that's the tip of the handle that kind of holds everything together and prevents the handle from splitting. If you don't know what I'm talking about, keep watching, and eventually you'll figure it out. Now that our block of wood looks more like a handle, we're going to take our ferrule and trace the inside diameter onto the top of our handle. And then we're going to carve the handle down to that line. Except we're going to put a step in there to account for the thickness of the ferrule. So it'll look something like this. Basically, the handle will be flush from butt to tip, if that makes any sense. Then we'll clean everything up with a file so that the ferrule fits on there nicely. And unfortunately, that tenon, I think is the right word, was just a little bit too small in diameter. The ferrule was pretty loose on there, so we fixed it, but try not to do that if you make this. This is that golden straw color I'm talking about. I'm happy with how the tempering went, so we'll glue everything together. First, we'll put the ferrule on the handle, and then we're actually going to put some super glue in that hole just for extra measure, and then we'll beat the chisel or the gouge into our handle. I was hoping that whenever I beat the chisel into the handle, it would expand the wood into the tenon, so it would be like a nice snug fit. That just didn't happen, so I'll wrap electrical tape around there, beat it into place, and then say, looks great, they're gonna love it. But we're actually gonna trim off that excess tape, so it looks kind of like we know what we're doing. Once again, that interior curve needs to be as perfect as you can get it. A trick that I use is to use some wet and dry sandpaper and then grab, this is an old shovel handle, but any radius will work, and then just go to town. I mean, I spent probably about 3 or 4 hours just sharpening this chisel. So if you want something great, you're going to have to spend a lot of time on it. And you can see here that first eighth of an inch, it looks great. Then we'll sharpen the bevel. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, but I don't think it's all that hard to mess up. We're just going to rock it back and forth on a whetstone for, once again, a really long time. Now, to get a mirror finish or polish on our edge, we need to buff or strop both the inside and the outside. To strop the inside, I'm wrapping some denim around that shovel handle or the radius, put some buffing compound on there, and then strop the inside until we get a mirror finish. Then we'll strop the outside bevel like you do on any other chisel. And now let's see if it works. Yep, that'll work for me. I really like how this project turned out. It doesn't necessarily look nice, but it looks old. Like it's been used for a really long time, kind of antique-y. And I don't know, something about that. It's really fun to use.